Good evening and welcome to Nite Line. I'm Rick Curren. This is my gorgeous, lovely, beautiful, wow, I've run out of words, but if they had a thesaurus here, I could probably find some more.
Sweet.
My
Handsome.
beautiful wife. And together we are Boundless Limits, and we are the host of your show this evening here on Nite Line. And it is our dead level best effort to make sure that you have a great time tonight and that you get to hear some great music and some great ministry and just have a good time. So if you have a couple of friends that you have an opportunity during the break to give them a call and tell them, hey, check out the cool hosts that are on Nite Line tonight. Definitely
and the amazing guests.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. But, a couple of things right off the top of the bat. I just want to remind you throughout the show, there's a telephone number down here at the bottom of the screen. And throughout the show, you have the opportunity to phone in here. And here's the cool thing. These 39 already people have called in with prayer requests and even a couple of praise reports. It is so important sometimes to get out the needs that we have, and sometimes and the Bible is just replete with confess your needs before God. It's great to share it with somebody else because it's almost like an exercise of faith, in my opinion, to be able to go out and say, I'm praying and I'm believing in God for this. Okay, because it's an exercise in faith to share it with somebody else. It's one thing to know it in your heart, but to share it with other people is almost like saying, I know God can do it.
Oh, totally. Even listening to our first guest, in the first hour we had Sharon and Scott Hawkins and Marie and Joel Pritchett with Grace in the Wilderness Ministries, and we were talking about their marriages and the things they've been through. I was inspired, encouraged, and the cool thing was that was the first time the guys had been on the couch and done a live interview with them, and they were naturals, but hearing how they stood beside each other, and it was always God. It was God that was the glue that got them through it. You're going to hear that again in this hour of God bringing our guests through amazing things for many, many purposes. And that's what he does in your life. He takes all that stuff. Rick talked about the kindling, all the little pieces and all the things that you don't think make sense. He brings them all together for amazing and incredible purposes.
Yeah, speaking of just amazing things like that, we actually run a ministry that a lot of people have heard of more than even Boundless Limits, and that's Scaly Adventures. And the reason I bring that up is you can check it out at scalyadventures.com on the web. And the TV show that my wife and I and my son created is actually aired here on WGGS. What's crazy about that, though, is when we first felt a calling into ministry, we wrote books, we did CDs, we did women's conferences, we tried a men's conference. We won't talk about that. But through it all, though, the amazing thing was that God took something that we were interested in and said, this is what I want you to do, and that's what's flourishing. So in your life, things may not necessarily be making sense the way that you've planned them, but it's amazing when you sit back and you let your talents ride what God will do with it.
Amen.
And speaking of great talent, tonight we have an awesome musical guest for you. If you haven't heard them yet, they're called New Purpose, and their song right now is Don't Ever Give Up.
Okay.
Troubles don't last long.
Trust in him and just hold on.
Don't you ever give up, no.
Weeping may endure a night.
Just remember to speak
I know he'll make everything alright.
Don't you ever give up.
I'm reminded of the time when joy was hard to find. No peace would come my way. I didn't know what to pray, so I opened up my word. Jesus' voice I heard.
And what'd he say?
My child, I'll never leave you, so don't you be afraid. Now if you wish you have it, just reach up and grab it. Hold on to your dreams, no matter how hard it seems. Trials come to make you strong.
All your troubles won't last long.
Trust in him and just hold on.
Don't you ever give up, no.
Weeping may endure a night.
Just remember to speak
I know he'll make everything alright.
Don't you ever give up. Looking at the situation I'm in, a place I've never been. It's so deep I wanna shout, can't find my way out. I know God can deliver me, he'll set my soul free. And now I'm here to stay, cause his love has made a way. Now if you wanna have it, just and grab it. Hold on to your dream, no matter how hard it seems.
Trials come to make you strong.
All your troubles won't last long.
Trust in Him and just hold on.
Don't you ever give up, no.
Weeping may endure night.
Just remember to speak
I know He'll make everything alright.
Don't you ever give up. I'm talking to the frustrated.
Don't give up.
Those who've been manipulated.
Don't give
You
up.
may even feel a bit distracted.
Don't give up.
Just let God have it.
When life don't seem so perfect,
Don't give up.
you can have a guilty verdict.
Don't give up.
At times it may seem hard.
Don't give up.
All you gotta do is look to God. Trials come to make you strong.
All your troubles won't last long.
Hallelujah. Don't give up.
Don't you ever give up, no.
Weeping may endure night.
Just remember to speak
I know He'll make everything alright.
Don't you ever give up.
Trials come to make you strong.
All your troubles won't last
Trust
long.
in Him and just hold on.
Don't you ever give up, no.
Weeping may endure night.
Just remember to speak
I know He'll make everything alright.
Don't you ever give up.
You're enjoying music from New Purpose, loving it. I am loving it.
Absolutely. Very, very talented ministry.
Definitely check out newpurposemm.com. You can get a copy of their CD right here with Kendaria Williams and David Green. And the great thing is you're going to get to know them in this hour. In a little bit, they're going to be on the couch with us. So definitely stay tuned this entire hour. We've got another wonderful guest. We're about to join us here. And God has really been moving. I mean, that first hour was so powerful when you look about the unity of Christ, the glue of God, and how God can bring you through anything and everything. And our next guest is no stranger to that either.
That's right. But first, I got to say, you're very distracting.
Why?
Because you're so pretty. I can't help it. I can't help it. A couple of things I want to do before I introduce our first guest is a couple of things, and it's because I always get ahead of myself and we get so in with our guests. So if you're used to this being a different place in here in the show, a couple of things. First of all, I do want to draw your attention to the fact that the former Nite Line producer and host Diane Laboon-Goen has passed away on Tuesday, May 20th, 2014. There will be a visitation and funeral at Grace Episcopal Church, which is on McDuffie Street, and her memorial service will begin at 11 a.m. at Grace Episcopal Church. You can contact the station here or Grace Episcopal Church for more details. And again, that is announcing the passing of the former Nite Line host and producer, Diane Laboon-Goen. Secondly, I also want to take this opportunity to thank those members of our United States Armed Forces who serve and protect around the world to ensure that you have the freedom that you do, and that maybe other people around the world will also get to enjoy the freedoms that we have. And so we just want to ask that you would pray for the families of those who are serving as well as those who are serving. And you know what? If you know of a military family in your neighborhood, maybe stop and do something nice for them. It would be an amazing thing for a military service member's wife to come out and find a yard mowed or a gift card to a restaurant in her mailbox or something like that. It's these little small things that we do for some of these loved ones that really, really helps those soldiers in the field, because I know I was one of them. And knowing that my family was taken care of and that there was a support network around was a huge thing. So I salute the members of our military and ask that you would pray for them each and every day. All right, so here's the cool part. We get to meet another cool guest. And our guest is absolutely an inspiration. And you know what, ladies? Take a look at this lady, because she's an amazing testimony of tenacity and stick-to-itiveness. And the cool thing about it is she has experienced a lot of the things that we've been talking about this evening, and a lot of the things in our culture now with the divorce rate being 50%. And I don't care if you look inside the church or outside the church, it's the exact same number, guys. Okay. over 50% of all marriages now end in divorce. And our next guest has been down that journey. Not only that, but she's also experienced the loss of a child. But through all of that, here's the really cool part. She's become the CEO of Greatness in You Incorporated, which is a ministry dedicated to helping others find and empower themselves and indeed overcome the challenges that they face in life. She's also an author, a speaker, and a successful businesswoman. And it is my pleasure tonight to introduce you to Dr. Nycole Lyles-Belton.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Nycole, it's great to have you. Welcome
for
to Nite
having
Line.
me.
Oh my gosh, yes, yes, we're thrilled to hear about your story.
Yes.
And I mean, when we read things like this, again, when we look at you on the outside, beautiful, pulled together, great big smile,
Thank you.
and sometimes people envision that as that word perfect.
Yes.
But they have no idea the wilderness you've experienced, the road you have walked on.
Yeah.
Tell us some of the things that God has brought you through.
And it's amazing that you say that. It's so very true that people look at us from the outside and it looks like we have our lives like perfectly pulled together.
Right. Yeah.
And then sometimes we do that just so we will appear that everything is okay. Being a pastor's daughter, knowing that we live in a glass house, you're expected to live a perfect life. And sometimes because you are a pastor's child, we call it a PK, being a PK, things have a deeper effect because it's hard to really show the emotion. It's hard to really show the pain. It's hard to really show like, hey, I'm hurting and I'm going through this and I'm going through that because, I mean, personally, I used to feel like I don't want to bring shame to my family and bringing shame to my family may bring shame to my church, and I don't want to do that. So I'll just suffer in silence, and I'll just look like I have it all together.
Right.
And I'll just look like everything is okay. But it came to a point where I couldn't look the part anymore. And I believe that God started to allow me to go through some things to break me down so that I would understand that my walk was not about me.
Right.
My walk was not about me being a pastor's daughter or being a preacher or being a teacher or an author or being this or being that. My life was to impact the kingdom of God. But I could not do that unless I was broken. And some of the areas I was broken, as you mentioned, I went through an ectopic pregnancy. And it was something that was very heartbreaking for me because I really wanted a child.
Yeah.
I really, really wanted a child. And I found out that I was pregnant. So the entire family rejoiced. We were so happy, like, oh, we can't wait to see the picture. What are you going to name the baby? I mean, everything was just so great. And at the same time, I was supposed to be preparing to go away for a family vacation to Virginia for a family reunion.
Okay.
So the doctors asked me to come in for an ultrasound. I said, well, I can't come just yet because I'm going away.
Yeah.
And then that still small voice was like, no, you have to go and you need to go now to get the ultrasound. So as I went in for the ultrasound, the doctors weren't talking. They weren't saying anything. I wasn't hearing any speaking. I wasn't hearing, oh, is everything okay? Everything's great. Congratulations. And then they flicked on the lights and said, are you in pain? And I said, well, actually, I am in a little bit of pain. And everything began to move very quickly, like, well, you're pregnant and it's in your left fallopian tube and we're going to have surgery tomorrow because if you don't have surgery tomorrow, you could possibly die. So we need you to contact your family and let your family know and sign these papers. And like everything was moving so fast and I didn't have an opportunity to really even think about anything because the only thing I heard was, your baby is dead. And if you don't have this surgery, you can go into shock or you could die. And so I contacted my parents. I went to my parents' house and let them know this is what's going on with me, and I have to have surgery tomorrow. You gonna come with me? Like, and of course they were there.
Right.
I have such supportive parents. They were there for me. And when their surgery was over, the doctor called in my mom, and doctor said to my mom, if your daughter would have waited 24 more hours, she would have died.
Really?
Right, because my fallopian tube had already exploded and I was bleeding internally.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So that still small voice was like the Holy Spirit saying, no, now's the time.
Yeah.
Saving your life.
Saved my life. And it was for a purpose.
Yes.
And I knew that as we opened up with the scripture, Romans 8 and 28, which is my absolute favorite scripture.
That is so awesome, by the way. I know.
So when I saw it appear on the screen, I'm like, oh my God, it's my favorite scripture. And we know that all things work together for the good of them who love the Lord and have been called according to his purpose. And sometimes we think that all things just encompasses the great things.
Right.
But the all things encompasses the things that are painful, like an ectopic pregnancy or like a divorce or like any kind of loss or any kind of sickness. That's still the all things.
Yes.
And so in order for God to get the best out of me, I had to go through my all things.
Oh my gosh, that's a huge word.
Yeah.
And that, something too that came as soon as you started talking, I was thinking, and you had said that God had to get me to a place of brokenness. The pressure that must have been on your shoulders from a young age when you were carrying the burden of the facade because you didn't want to disrespect your family. So these honorable things, you didn't want to bring dishonor to your church, but yet look at the pressure from a young age that you were carrying. I think a lot of people carry so much because they don't want to maybe bring shame or the way that they would perceive it being shame, but so therefore they put it inside, pack it inside, put on that smile, but yet inside that is a ton to carry.
And it's a very heavy ton to carry because I love my family so much. We're a very close-knit family. I have to say hello to New Shiloh Baptist Church and Community Life Center and my father, Bishop Dr. James Washington, our First Lady, Reverend Dr. Ruby Washington. But like you mentioned, it's a ton. And when you love your family, you don't want to hurt them. So you would rather hurt yourself than to bring shame to the family. And so that's what I went through. And so I carried a great deal. And so I couldn't carry it anymore. And so what I did was I finally had no choice. After going through the ectopic pregnancy, that's when I was able to open up and start to begin to bring my family into some of my issues and say, listen, I'm hurting and I need some help. And the greatest help they can give me besides walking with me and holding my hand was really praying for me. Because they prayed for me when I couldn't pray for myself. When I couldn't find the words to say, they were there praying for me, and I felt their prayers in my midnight hours when I didn't know what to do, when I didn't know what to say, when I had no one to call, or when I was too embarrassed to share. And when the pain was just too heavy, I felt their prayers.
And it's okay, and I'm glad that you're sharing that. It's okay to feel that way.
Yeah.
When you grow up in the church, and I did as well. I remember when I felt that way, where I felt guilty though that I didn't have enough faith to get me through this crisis or this. I felt that guilt because I felt like I should know better or I should have that. But I think it's great to hear when you're saying, no, you can be raised in the church in this wonderful family and all this stuff. But when you're going through a crisis, sometimes there are no words. You need other people to help carry you through. You know, I mean, sometimes we're so broken and we're so needy that only God can carry us through, and those surrounding us can, support us in that way.
And that's what happened. They were and up to this very moment, they've always been so supportive. And even when I didn't want to let them in, my mother, I call her FBI. Like she.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, yours is CIA.
I have that too, girlfriend.
She knows no border she won't cross.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so even if I wouldn't talk about things, I would hear my doorbell ring and I would open my door. My mom would come through my house with her rolling suitcase and say, how you doing? I just came to spend the night. Like things like that. So it's like a mother's intuition.
She just knew.
Your mother knows when you're going through, and she would tell me, like, I could feel your pain. And I stayed up all night long and I stayed up all night long and I prayed for you. And to have someone who's willing to do that for you and to feel your pain when you're too embarrassed to share it, that's major.
That is huge.
That's huge. Oh, that's very
praise
huge.
God for a precious, loving mother.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Mom, for doing that for her.
Thanks,
that is,
Mom.
yes. Oh, my gosh.
I think that there's an important lesson in that, too, because I wasn't raised in a church environment or anything. And even now, I'm very transparent about this. I struggle with faith. It's not the easiest thing in the world for me. And sometimes I think it's what you bring up is a great point. There are going to be those times when, you're up against the wall and you just don't feel like praying. And it almost just feels like you're disengaged from the engine, that being God. It's, and it is those times in life when it is so important to have that support network out there who will carry you. Yeah. Because I know there are times when I'm just up against it and I don't feel like praying. And it doesn't happen.
And I think, too, what's neat about your ministry with, your book here is 30 Days to Greatness, an inspirational journey to the greatness in you. Yes. When you're broken, when you're hurting, you don't feel great.
Yeah.
You don't feel special. You don't feel like there is greatness in me and God can do this. And I'm interested to how, was this something that always was on your heart to be an author or a speaker?
No, not at all. After I had gone through a few things, I finally started having courage to share.
Okay.
I'm a talker. I'm a very bubbly person, as you can probably see.
I love that about you. Yes,
I can tell when I met you, you said, yay. That's my favorite. Yay. That's just who I am. Yeah. And so I like to talk. Yeah. And so God released the shame.
Yes.
He released the shame for me to begin to start sharing my testimony. And I started noticing when I started sharing my testimony that I was meeting women that were saying, I went through that same thing.
Yes.
like, you went through it too? Tell me how you came out.
Yeah.
And I would immediately tell them, like, this is what I did. It was like I gave them the cliff notes of my life.
Yes.
And I began to tell them my story, and this is how God delivered me, and this is how I prayed my way through, and I took it one day at a time.
Yes.
And if you can take it one day at a time, and if you have enough fight, and if you want to come out, you can come out.
You can.
So the more I started sharing my story, and I started going on Facebook,
Yeah.
and every day I would put like encouraging posts on Facebook.
Yeah.
And people would inbox me like, you need to write a book because what you say is really good.
Cool.
And knowing that those were not my inspired words, those were God inspired
Sure.
words. So that's where the inspiration came, because I wanted to be able to share on a greater platform
I love
with
it.
people to let them know, like, you cannot just stay where you are.
Right.
Don't stay broken.
Right.
Get up and decide to live, and don't just
Amen.
decide to be good. Be great.
Amen.
That's 30 days to greatness.
I love it. And I think, too, you've got to be willing to overcome that fear. I know the same thing. When I started sharing my story, especially when I said I wanted to kill myself, that was incredibly scary to me because, again, I had grown up in the church. We weren't supposed to do that. And I had been raised that if you kill yourself, you're going straight to hell anyway. So to share that in front of other Christians was terrifying. But what you're saying is you've got to share your story.
You have to share your story because I believe 100% that the things that I went through, they were not totally about Dr. Nycole P. Lyles-Belton. They were for someone else.
Amen.
Because God knew that I would have enough faith in him to be able to be transparent enough to show someone else my wounds and show someone else my scars, to say, look, this is what happened to me. And it happened to you too, but I'm living proof that you can make it out.
Amen.
You can
Amen.
make it if you want to.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. You've got to stay tuned for the rest of our interview right here. It's so much good stuff. Right now, you're going to hear music from New Purpose from their song, Been Blessed.
Yeah, New Purpose. DJ Dana on the ones and twos, bring it to you. Right here on Dub Nite Line with Rick and Tanya. Yeah.
I got a warranty in life that won't expire. Satisfaction guaranteed, you'll take you higher. You gotta learn how to see the invisible. Hear me clearly, there's nothing impossible. No job he kept me, no food he fed me. Sick he healed me. Saints, can you feel me? He picked me up, turned me around. He gave me peace, my burden's down. I thank my Lord. Come on, put your hands together.
I've been blessed.
Thank God
I've been blessed.
Can't you tell
I've been blessed.
my kids,
My home, God gave me, I'm blessed.
Behold the key of my life, so blessed.
Just a year ago, down and out with no place to go.
Testify.
Car broke, lights off, and the kids with no clothes. Don't know if I'm coming, don't know if I'm going. But on last Sunday, my seed I was sowing, and now He restored everything with His
Yes, He
peace.
did.
In spite of what was
Hallelujah.
said by my enemies.
Glory,
Put joy back in my
Hallelujah.
life
Here
and
we go,
brought
y'all.
us
Come on and give God some praise
That's
right where you
why I
are.
say I've been
Hallelujah. I thank my Lord every day. I've been blessed. Thank God I've been blessed. Can't you tell I've been blessed? My kids, my home, God gave me, I'm blessed. He holds the key to my life, so blessed.
If you just hold on,
He'll pull you through, take away the pain, turn your grace back new.
just a little faith goes a long way. Now everything's okay. Yeah, you've been
He
blessed.
did it for me.
That's right, come on.
He'll do it for you.
Yes, He will.
There's no secret what God can do. This is my
Come on.
season. This is my
You gotta
year.
speak it.
I speak blessings in the atmosphere.
No more chains.
No more chains.
You gotta reach out and take those
holding
shackles off.
me. Shackles off. I've been set free. I see the light. I found my way. Let's bow our head. It's time to pray.
Every night I'm down on my knees, begging the Lord, begging His
Lord, I
knees, begging Him for
love
my
you.
life and my kids.
Yes,
Forgive me,
God.
God, for all of my sins. When times get hard and life get rough, I look to the sky and I raise
Here we
Him
go
up
with J-E-S-U-S.
No matter what comes, I tell you, I'm blessed.
Glory,
Yeah,
yeah, hallelujah. Come on, y'all, put your hands together if you've been blessed.
I've been blessed.
Can't you tell I've been blessed? My kids, my home, God gave me, I'm blessed. He holds the key to my life,
guys. That's New Purpose
Amen.
and amazing music ministry, and they're going to be with us throughout the second hour as well. Just encourage you to check them out as well. And I also want to remind you guys that first and foremost, this is a ministry.
Yes.
Telephone number at the bottom of the screen. Please know that those phones are there for you so that you can call in and let them know how they can pray with you. Likewise, I want to remind you about Boundless Limits and Scaly Adventures, and that we are also here for you. And you can definitely reach out and contact us through the Boundless Limits website, just like one of our diehard friends did just a minute ago. You know who you are, John. So this one's for you. You can reach out and get us on Facebook. You can get us through Boundless Limits. If there's a way that we can pray for you, please let us know.
That's right.
Now, we're in studio this evening with an amazing lady who's had a testimony that says one word, in my opinion, and that's overcome.
Yeah.
But she took overcome, rearranged the letters, and turned it into the word greatness, and she wrote a book about it. And she's here tonight to tell us about how you can achieve greatness in your life as well. So again, let's go back to Dr. Nycole Lyles-Belton.
Yes, welcome back. Yes, thank you. I was looking at your book. Now, I have not had the pleasure to read this yet, but I will.
Okay.
I'm super excited about it. It's called 30 Days to Greatness, an Inspirational Journey to the Greatness in You. And as I opened it up and I saw your dedication, I love this, and I just wanted to share this with you, what she wrote right here at the beginning of her book. This book is dedicated to the greater one residing inside of you who craves more, but sometimes gets derailed by issues and concerns of the present and past. The one who wants more and desires to feel fulfilled, but is in a holding pattern. The greatest one will awaken you to the fact that there is greatness in you.
Yes.
I love that, Nycole.
Yeah.
I love that. Tell us more about how God inspired you to write your book. And
Growing up, so often we're told, like, you're a good girl, you did a good job, or you had a good report card, you cleaned your room really good, or you better be good in school.
Right.
Like different things like that. We constantly hear the word good, 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 good.
Right.
But as I began to get a little older and go through a few things in life, I started noticing, wait a minute, good is what is expected. You're expected to be good. You're expected to be a good employee. You're expected to be a good student or a good girlfriend, a good boyfriend. You're expected just to be good. But good is actually average.
Right.
It's actually mediocre. And after all the things that I had been through, coupled with the fact that I know that I serve a great God,
Amen.
knowing that the Bible says greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world, that means I have greatness in me.
Yes.
So if the Lord is inside of me, if greatness is in me, then I have greatness in me. And I wanted people to understand that you don't have to live an average life.
Right.
You don't have to be mediocre, and you don't have to settle with being just good enough. Because just good enough was making me live below my standards. Just good enough was making me just accept less than what I deserved in life.
Right.
And being just good enough was making me act out in behaviors that were less than greatness.
Right.
So I decided, like, I don't want to just live that way, because God he saved my life. Like, he really saved my physical life.
Yes, he did.
And because he did, I couldn't just give him an average Dr. Nycole P. Lyles-Belton.
Right.
I just couldn't be mediocre for him. And I didn't want to just live every day willy-nilly, no goals, no vision, no objectives,
Right.
no plan, no vision, just going on every day with life. So I knew that there was a little girl in me that once said, when someone said, what do you want to be when you grow up? I had a great big long paragraph. I want to do this and I want to do that and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and no one can stop me.
Right.
Almost like I had an S on my chest with a cape on my back. Like, that's how I
With
felt.
sparkles.
With sparkles, of course. Lots of sparkles. And that's how I felt. But when life begins to happen,
Yeah.
you get derailed. And you don't have that same courage in yourself and that
Right.
same bravery that makes you feel like you can just do anything. So I want people to understand through reading this book, like, if you have a goal and if you have a dream and you have a vision, you can still accomplish that
Right.
vision. You can still accomplish that goal. And the greatest one will see that to the end for you. The greatest one will make it come to fruition. But you've got to want it, and you have to seek him.
Amen.
And so often we want to just depend on our looks or
Right.
our money or our education
Degrees, yeah.
or our status. But it's bigger than all that, because you can have all of those
Right.
things and don't have Christ, and you will be good. And you'll be mediocre.
and you'll always be missing something.
You'll always be missing something. There will always be a void.
Right.
And you'll keep trying to fill it and stuff it with so many different things, and you'll be on the merry-go-round of life.
Right.
Continuing to go around and around in a circle.
Always seeking.
And you will pay to stay on that merry-go-round.
Right.
And you will pay to get off that merry-go-round as well.
Right.
And I didn't want to live that way anymore. So once I grasped the concept that, hey, there's greatness in me, I didn't want to just keep it to myself. I wanted to share it with everyone. And it's so interesting now with this book and with me talking about greatness so much, when I run into people, even at the convenience store, they're like, hey, greatness, right? I'm like, yes, greatness,
Awesome.
exactly. So I'm kind of known as that now.
I love it.
The greatness girl.
Okay, all right, girl. I love that. I have a question about this because we know so many people who have been divorced. When you said that you wrote down this long list of all the things that you want to do, you know, clearly when we start off with these ideal list of things, divorce is not one of them.
Not at all.
Right. So when life happens and like that happens, how do you move forward? Because the question I'm having that is the girls that I know who are not able, they're stuck. They feel guilty about it. They're blaming themselves, and they seem stuck. And even though I've talked to them and I'm like, you got to forgive yourself. You've got to move on. How did you forgive yourself or move on from that experience?
For me, the greatest, it was hard. It was extremely hard because it was my choice. It was my choice to come out of my marriage.
Okay.
And I knew that it was something that I had to do.
Okay.
But it still wasn't easy.
Sure.
Just because you make a decision doesn't mean that it's easy for you to stomach. And
Sure.
it's easy for you to live with. It was extremely hard. It was extremely rough. There were nights I didn't sleep. There were nights I cried, and I cried days upon days.
Right.
And then I had to cry out to God. And I literally cry out and scream, God, help me, because I don't know what to do.
Right.
And he showed me that I had to go back to everything that I told everyone else about how to get out of their pit, how to get out of their struggle, and how to encourage themselves. And I had to begin to encourage myself. I had to take my eyes off of my problem and put my eyes on the Lord and what else I want to do with my life. If not, I would have stayed in that broken place.
Right.
I knew that I was called for a greater purpose than to lay in my bed and cry.
Right.
And that's what I was doing. I was allowing myself, I would still go to church and be this person you see right here on the couch.
Yeah.
Still leading praise and worship, directing the choir, smiling and hugging and kissing the babies, doing everything that I normally would do.
Wow.
And I would drive all the way home and cry all the way home. And I said, God, I can't keep living like this. Like, there has to be a greater life for me. And he would tell me, you said that you want to encourage people. You said you want to empower people. So now you have to, even in the way that you feel right now, the greatest feeling that I had was being able to know that I was broken and I was still helping others. So I had to get my eyes off of me and start focusing on other people who needed me, other people who needed my story. And the more I was able to see that the Lord was allowing me to still empower and impact people, it let me know, hey, there's still greatness in me.
Yes.
Although I'm broken and I'm divorced, I'm no longer married, there's still greatness in me. And although I may feel like there's shame over my head, it's not bigger than the greatness that's inside of me.
Right.
And the greatest thing that you can do after pain and after going through a public divorce or a public situation is live. You don't respond to it.
Right.
You don't have to give an answer for everything that comes up about it. You just have to keep living.
Yes.
And that's what I kept doing, and I kept praying, and I kept on living.
Right.
And I kept empowering people.
Beautiful.
So I had to take my eyes off of myself.
Beautiful.
And my heart, and focus on someone else's heart.
And you know, you didn't wait until you were completely healed or complete.
No.
You know, sometimes we think that we have to be so perfect before we can encourage someone else. You kind of trying to get that pinnacle. But you were saying that you knew that other people needed you, even in a state of your brokenness or your healing.
Right.
Yeah, that's huge.
Right, because I know that if I act like I'm perfect, I can't help anyone.
Exactly.
Because you can't help me if you've never been through anything.
Right.
But the fact that people were able to see, I know what she's been through, and I think I know what she's going through, and she's still going forth. There would be times I would get up and preach and just cry my eyes out the night before, but God would give me the courage to get in that pulpit and stand boldly and and declare the works of the Lord and say and repeat over and over again Romans 8:28. And we know that all things, and every time I got up to preach, I got more powerful. Every time I took someone's phone call or took someone's text who was crying, and every time I met a lady who was at IHOP who was going through a worse situation in her divorce than I was going through in mine, and I was able to empower her. And I still got back in my car and cried all the way home. But after I wiped my tears, I said, the Lord showed me, you just help someone live. And so it was easier. It got easier and easier. Am I 100% healed? No, but I'm on my way.
The beautiful thing like that is there's nothing like living in that. There is so much peace when you can live your life with transparency,
Yes. Yeah.
share with others what you've been through, and the
Yes.
journey that you're on. Like you're
Yeah.
saying, I mean, nobody's arrived.
No.
I mean, we're all still on this journey.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. And I've come to embrace it. All the things that I've been through, although they've been painful,
Yeah.
and although they've been hurtful and sometimes embarrassing,
Yeah.
I love my journey.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade it with anyone. Like I absolutely love my life. And it's only because of the relationship I have with the Lord. It's not because of my degrees. It's not because of my status and who my parents are. It's not about any of that. It's not about my cars, not
Right.
any of that. It's because the Lord trusted me with this life. He trusted me with my battle. He trusted me with my pain because he knew that I could handle it. And he knew that I'll be transparent to go back into a pit and to drag someone else out and say, listen, I've been there. I'm going to put you on my back and we're going to come out of this thing together. And then they can go back and do it for someone else.
You know, what you just said, he trusted you with it. I hope that you're hearing that tonight. That is really cool because sometimes when we're going through stuff, we get really mad at God.
Oh, yeah.
And we, of course, say, why me? Or why are you doing this to me?
Yes.
But if you look at it that way, that's a really positive and healthy way to look at that.
It's about changing your mind.
Yeah,
And I
let's
always
change your
say,
mindset.
When you change your mind, you change your life. My father always used to tell me, your perception is your reality. So if you look at yourself as defeated, that's what you're going to be.
Right.
But I had to begin to look, I had to begin to see it before I saw it. I had to look at myself healed. I had to see myself delivered. I had to see myself set free. And when I started seeing myself that way, I began to stand up a little taller. I began to smile, and it wasn't a fake smile anymore. So he trusted me with these battles so I can go back to say to someone else, listen, I know a man named Jesus.
Amen.
And he will pick you up, he will turn you around, and he will make it work for your good.
Amen. Amen. This is just like the blueprint to a house. I mean,
Yes.
you might not see it done. I mean, you might not see anything yet,
Yeah.
but you can see it. You know, you can touch it. You know what's coming. You know what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
So that's what you have to change your mindset and really keep telling yourself, I am healed, I am whole, and look for people along the way that you can help.
And then not only looking for people, they were finding me.
That's
They
cool.
would find me, and even times I wouldn't want to answer a text message. God would say, pick up the phone and call. And that's where my healing kept coming through because he was showing me in answering that call as I was wiping my tears, there's still purpose for you, Nycole. There's still something for you to do. Pick up that phone, answer that call. And the more I did that, the more I began to heal.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Tell me this in the last couple minutes that we have about your book. Tell people about it, like, because I see in here there are places where, as you're walking them through the month, that they can write down their own personal notes. So you're sharing something. Tell us about that.
On each day, there's a different day for them to be able to look at, to delve in with the information. But I don't want to just go every day to change the topic. I want them to take time to do personal reflection.
Yeah.
I think so many times we just take in information and we don't think about it.
Right.
So think time is so important. So they think about it and they write about how it spoke to them because the way it speaks to me and the way it speaks to you may be totally different. And then they are able to, after they write it, they can always go back and review it.
Yeah.
And see, you know, did I really do what I said I was going to do? And maybe I should try this again.
Right.
Or maybe I should go back and rework it, or revisit this, or tweak it a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's what they do. So after the 30 days, the goal is for them to be able to be in a different mindset, a different mind frame, and to shift from thinking that I'm just good, or I'm just average, to I'm better than good.
Amen.
I'm great.
Amen.
There's greatness in me, and I'm going to walk greatness. I'm going to talk greatness. I'm going to live greatness, and I'm going to look like greatness.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. And I know you have a Facebook page, right?
Yep.
That people
Yes.
can like on this. Tell us that name.
They can, I have a Facebook page for them to like. That's Greatness in You.
Yep.
And I also have my personal Facebook page, and they can look me up under Nycole Lyles-Belton.
Excellent.
Yes.
Yes, we have connected with Nycole as well on Facebook, so you'll see her picture there with her information.
Yay.
Tell us where we can get your book.
My book is available on Amazon
Okay.
and anywhere you can purchase books online. You
Perfect.
can just type in 30 Days to Greatness.
Perfect. Well,
You'll
thank
see me
you.
there.
Excellent.
Thanks for
Yes,
having me.
thank
Yeah, it's great to have you.
I
You
was,
are
it was
a
great
delight.
being here.
You
Thank
are a
you.
delight. I hope you just absorb those words from her. Check out her ministry. Definitely get a copy of her book. Connect with her on Facebook. We connected right away, so she's very accessible and would love to hear from you. Our next friends are very accessible as well, and they would love to hear from you. New Purpose, you're enjoying them throughout this entire hour, and they are singing Without You.
You've been my all in all, always answered me when I call. the strength to stay.
I love you 'cause you first loved me. Without your love, where would I be? From Genesis
To Revelation,
this love is carried out through generations.
His love is given to the young and
The
old.
whole world.
Lord, I don't know where I'd be without you. I love you.
I really do. In all the praise I give to you.
I give to
You've been my
shelf.
You've been my guide.
God, Lord,
Stay by my side. I love you.
I love you.
I really do.
I really do. No praise.
I give to you.
I give to you. Shelter.
You've been my guide.
You've been my God.
And I don't know where I'd be without you.
Filthy with sin, yet He cleansed me. I thank you for giving me true victory. Through many dangers and sinking sand, He brought me out. Now I can stand.
Always be my number one.
My number one, Lord.
Your only son. You said you'd never leave nor forsake me. You said you'd be there for eternity.
Love is truly unconditional.
Unconditional.
Lord, I don't know where I'd be without you. I love you.
I really do. In all the praise I give to you.
I give to
You've been my shelter. You've been my guide.
God, Lord.
Stay by my side. I love you.
I love you.
I really do.
I really do. All the
I
praise.
give to you.
I give to you.
Shelter.
Shelter.
You've been my guide.
You've been my God.
Don't know where I'd be without you.
This is the part of the song that I like. Hallelujah. If you're sitting at home listening right now, can you tell the Lord that you love Him right now? Just say, I love you, Jesus. I love you, Jesus. Hallelujah. Listen, when I'm with you, I fear no evil. Your rod and staff is there for me in times of trouble. You're not a man that you should lie. And this is why I love you so I can't deny.
Without you was like a ship with no sail, a criminal with no bail, a heartbeat when it fails. When times got hard and life got rough,
You save me. This love affection is our spiritual connection. Lord, I don't know where I'd be without you.
in all the praise I give to you.
You've been my shelter.
You've been my friend, stay by my side.
I love you, Jesus.
In all the praise I give to you. Shelter,
Shelter.
been my guide.
And I don't
Don't know where I'd be without
know I would have been dead and gone, Jesus. I don't know. Lord, I don't know where I'd be without you.
Isn't that beautiful? Beautiful music. We are loving it. And this is New Purpose that you have been listening to. Kendaria Williams and David Green, who are just about to join us over here on the couch. So you're going to get to hear more about them and their ministry and their awesome testimony.
That's right. And, throughout the evening, we've just heard, great stories of people who've overcome amazingly difficult things. And, I just want to speak to the men for just a second here and really just say to you guys, if God gives you a mate in life, love her. I mean, marriage is tough. It's very tough because there are months when there's more month than money. There's times when you're tired. There's times when things just aren't going your way. But at the end of the day, this is something that maybe nobody has ever told you before, but you are the spiritual lightning rod of your house. And whatever's going on under your roof, ultimately, guys, it's your responsibility. I mean, that is it. Your wife may be more in tune with God. I know in my life, that's really true. I mean, that's not really a confession. I call her my radar, because women are they're built as receptacles to hear God's voice. But I will tell you what, when it comes to action, you are the CEO under the roof. And so if you see something in your home that needs changed, look in the mirror, brother, because a lot of times you're the one that's going to enact that change in your home. And, they said at Promise Keepers one time that you can tell the happiness of a wife, or the depth of a man's role in his wife's life by the smile on her face. Mm-hmm. And so really she should be reflecting your love each and every day. Mm-hmm. And, I'm really blessed to be married to an incredible woman who's done everything from carry my child to hold a living cobra. And so she's done this as a testimony of just being a great and supportive spouse. So, if God has given you the blessing of having somebody in your life, before you think about divorce, before you think about an affair, before you just discount everything, ask God, because He put it together and He can keep it together. Now, we have an awesome testimony this evening from our musical guests, and they are absolutely incredible, and they are New Purpose. And please tell us again a little bit about your ministry. Introduce yourselves, because I know you as New Purpose. So.
That's right. Well, my name is Kendaria Williams, and
I'm David Green.
Excellent.
By the way, we've been so blessed by your music, loving it. Now, I don't have pockets. Normally, Rick so you're going to have to slide this CD in that. Can I keep your CD?
Oh, no problem.
No problem, because I need to jam out and praise the Lord with you guys down the road. Loving it, and y'all are such an adorable couple, and you are engaged.
So
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Do you have a date yet?
Not yet, but really soon.
Okay. Cool.
Right.
As soon as you get off the road, right?
That's right. We're going to pull a Selena. Go to Vegas.
Is that the plan?
It's not going to end up like that.
No.
Hold on.
I was going to say, which Selena?
Okay.
Because the only Selena I know have got shot. Okay.
Clean that up.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, but tell us, so were y'all both singing from a young age? And
I started out really young. My dad is a pastor in Albany, Georgia, Pastor Gardner. And I sung with him a lot, by side 8 and up.
Yeah.
And so from there in choirs and here now.
Okay.
So,
Perfect.
Well, I was always singing in choirs in elementary school, middle, high school, and when I got out, I was always doing like R&B and stuff of that nature. And somewhere along the road, it switched up to gospel.
Okay.
And I just came on in and went full-fledged.
And then when y'all met, were you starting to sing together immediately? Or okay.
We were in a choir, and the choir broke up.
Okay.
And we were heartbroken, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then he said to me, because I have a son now that has autism. Okay. And then I have a little girl. And he said to me, well, I know this is your dream. So he said, you just go ahead and sing, and I'll watch the kids for you. Oh. And so at the time, he was just being a friend. And I was like, no. So when I was being sneaky, and so I called around and I was like, okay, I know you'll need me, but do y'all need a tenor too?
Yeah.
And so they say yes, and bingo.
Because you're perfect together.
Right.
I mean, I love it. I love the synergy.
Absolutely. You guys got great synergy.
They do. They have great synergy. That's interesting that you had said that, how quickly you stepped up to the plate, and you said that you would watch the kids. In that first hour we were talking with the couples, and their son has that attachment disorder, and they have stood together. So look at the unity that God is giving you already.
It's been a long, hard road. I mean, any parent that has been through having kids with autism, it's definitely challenges.
Yes.
I was married before, and my husband left. And it was a very hardship because he just didn't want to be around not seeing, perfection. He said, he couldn't.
Because he was perfect, right?
He was perfect.
Gotcha.
My son has his same, has his name, and, at the time, and they had the same birthday. And,
Oh, wow.
But he just, couldn't stomach the fact that, he wasn't perfect. And so he had to leave. And, when he did get another son, he, called and said, well, now I have my perfect son.
Wow.
And so it kind of really just, took the knife and just. So me and Tiger, I call him Tiger, me and Tiger have been through bullying, and we've been through a lot of different, problems and testimonies, I would say, because throughout everything, God has just kept, and I'm so glad that David, has been there
Oh, my
by my
goodness.
side, because I know that I would have lost it. And I thank God for Calvary and the blood that covers me, because
Amen. Amen. I don't
Lord.
know how people live without God.
yes.
It takes
Because
a
life
real
is
man to
hard.
step in where another man fails.
Yeah.
Right.
It really
Thank
does.
you.
And that's
Thank
the
you, sir.
testimony of what being a real man is. Is when you can do something that another man failed. So, I salute you for that, because that's
Well, thank
tough. It's tough to walk into a situation that, in essence, wasn't yours. And see God's hands on those children, and see that, hey, we have something that we can use to serve God, and clearly you guys are being blessed by.
Well, you're changing a
Blessed
generational
by it,
line.
yeah.
And when you interrupt that generational line and you come in, you break that curse. I mean,
That's right.
you're impacting more than you ever know. More than
Changing
you
a lot
ever
of things.
And that's the
Amen.
thing that we have been talking about all week, and it's so funny that you just mentioned generational curses, because we have a radio show as well,
Oh, neat.
and we was just talking about that on the radio show about how people come with strongholds, and they say, well, my granddad did it, and my father did it, and this one did it in my
Yes.
family, so now I have a generational curse. But the question we asked was, what family are you claiming? Now, once you're saved,
Yes.
now you have a new family.
Yes.
God is your father,
Yes.
so your father is not a drunk. Your father is king of everything. Your
Amen.
father is oh my goodness, I was just so blessed. It's a mind thing.
It is.
It's a mindset thing. So no, your father is not that.
Right.
That's your heavenly father. So this is your relative. This is
Amen.
so you have to switch
And
it
you have
up.
to speak it.
You have to speak it.
You have to. Yes,
So, yeah,
amen.
So, yes.
This is pretty cool. With you guys being engaged, I thought this was pretty cool. The green, just to let you in on a little inside baseball, the green cards for us are the ones where somebody calls in and there's a salvation or a praise report. And so I always look for these. And what's really cool is that a caller just called in and was praising God for her husband. They've been married 60 years.
Whoa.
Wow. Yeah, 60 years. So, that's really cool that you guys are looking at going down the road of marriage. And, to know that when you honor God and you follow God, that He will bless you with the longevity in that marriage.
Ooh, that's a long time.
Yeah.
60.
You ready?
Hold on.
Wait a minute.
I'm glad
We
you're
like to
married for
joke.
looks.
Oh, I hear you, girl. So do we.
Okay. Woo. I'm just playing.
60? He's like, wait a minute. He said 60 like 4 times now.
It take a long time to get up to 60 in the car. You're like, wait a minute.
Hey, listen, I'm in no hurry to get to 60, so.
Cracking me up.
Okay.
We heard y'all say that y'all have been on the air for like 5 years, right?
Well, we've been in
started our
ministry for about 5 years.
Oh,
We started out 5 years.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, and we're currently at Transforming Lives
Okay.
Church, International Church in Stockbridge, Georgia, with
Okay.
Pastor Nycole. Be right.
Oh,
Shout out, Pastor.
I know where Stockbridge is.
we do.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
really?
grew up in Georgia.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
Powder Springs, Marietta. Got married in Kennesaw.
Peaches.
So,
Wow.
Yeah, we're Georgia
And then we have an orange.
Yeah, we were just in Atlanta last weekend showing kids snakes. It was kind of a cool
I
deal.
used to have a ball python years ago.
Then you are a good man, sir. You are a good man.
Never say never.
Never say never.
Yeah,
That's
we have 30
right.
live in our house. I have a question. Yeah, I know. That's why. Yeah, things have changed.
Yeah.
I want to get back to this. I know we could talk for hours,
Right.
couldn't we? Do you guys write your own music?
Yes, we do.
So you sit down. How does God inspire you?
Oh, goodness.
That one, Been Blessed.
We
It was a
fight.
blessing 'cause we was
have to
like-
go in one corner and
You
you go
fight?
in that one. And you write whatever God tell you. You write whatever God tell you. Go.
And then you come together,
Right.
And then try to make it work. And most of
just
it's
works.
It's perfect.
Okay.
Yes,
That
perfect. It
is-
just comes together. Our producer, he passed away about 2 years ago. His name
Yes.
was DJ Dana Ramey.
Okay.
And he used to be on the secular side. He produced for like Puff Daddy and a lot of large other artists and stuff. But he actually took the time out to produce this album for us, and that's the only album that he produced gospel. Before he
Right.
passed away.
Phenomenal.
And
That's
we do
awesome.
have charities
Yeah.
that we founded, and New Purpose Foundation,
Okay.
which we help feed the hungry and the homeless for the Atlanta Mission and the Atlanta Union Mission. We do events like the Gala, Old and New Gospel Gala, where we sing songs from the 60s all the way up to the present.
fun.
And then we also do an event for autism every year. And so it's a big event in Atlanta we do every year. So those are the charities that we.
So people can, because we've just got a couple minutes left, so
Right.
tell us about your radio show and where they can get your CD, your website. I've been to your
Or
website.
maybe even
Very
book you to
cool.
come to their event.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us.
Right.
Well, you can go to the website at www.nupurposemm.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Where are the rest of them?
All of them.
All the social medias.
Google.
Just Google us.
And the CD is on Amazon and iTunes. It's New Purpose, Romans 8:28. And the radio show?
Radio show is New Purpose News Corner. That's every Wednesday night from 9 to 10. We was in 2 places at one time tonight.
Can people, oh, that's cool. Can people call into the show
Yes,
then?
they can. It's www.thepraisehouse.com, and all the information is there.
So what I'll do, we'll get your information, we'll write that down. We've taken their beautiful picture of our friends, and we're going to have it on our Facebook page so you can connect with them.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for
much.
having
Thanks
us.
to New Purpose for being here with us this evening. And we just want to encourage you to stay tuned here every day at WGGS. Tune into great shows like Nite Line and Scaly Adventures, hey? And remember that God is the glue in your marriage. He is the one that can strengthen you
right.
and carry you through all these difficult times.
That's right.
And we just want to remind you to always go to God with your needs and your prayers. He loves you, He created you, and He will never, ever forsake you.
right.
Have a
God
great
bless you.
night.